Hello WWE fans, this is We Talk WWE. I'm Chris Wilson.
And I'm Dave McCann. Today's recording of We Talk WWE, we will be focusing on tonight's pay-per-view Hell in a Cell, where we will be discussing Brock Lesnar, my predictions, and of course, Randy Orton.
Now, moving on, David, you wrote on Twitter about the situation surrounding Brock Lesnar, where he was inactive for 30 days, and also brought up his non-title defense. What are your thoughts on this situation currently surrounding Brock Lesnar?
Well, Chris, in my opinion, it's a weird situation, as it's only ever happened once in the WWE, where the WWE title has not been defended in a pay-per-view, and that was Daniel Bryan. And of course, he got stripped off that title for not defending his title at the pay-per-view. So, for me, Brock Lesnar should be stripped off his title, as he has not appeared on any pay-per-view or Raws since SummerSlam, and therefore he's inactive, so he should be stripped off the title. Just because he's saying Paul Heyman, the Monday Night Raw, the representative, doesn't necessarily mean he deserves to keep the title, as he hasn't been there himself. What kind of champion is that? Because for me, that's not a proper WWE champion, because Daniel Bryan got his title took off him for not showing up. But the problem was, he was injured. Kane injured him, and the 40 thought, oh, he didn't turn up to this pay-per-view, didn't defend his title, so he's not our champion anymore. For me, Brock Lesnar should be stripped off the title, as he hasn't been there for 30 days.
David, going back to the Daniel Bryan situation where he had to be stripped of the title because of his injury. Now, if I go back a few months where the Authority came out and brought that situation up to Daniel Bryan, if I remember correctly, Triple H or Stephanie McMahon, one of the two, said to Daniel Bryan that he has to perform at a pay-per-view where he must put his title on the line, and he must show a presence at Raw because he is their champion, he's the fans' champion. People obviously want to see him. Now, have you got a thought on that, Ben?
Well, yes, what you're saying is a very good point. I can remember that also. So, what's the difference between Brock Lesnar? I honestly do not know, because just because he's sending Paul Heyman to represent him at Raw, SmackDown, or pay-per-views, that's not our champion. That is his advocate. Brock Lesnar himself needs to show up either on Raw, SmackDown, even if it's a quick 5-minute chat to give his thought on why he's not competing or why is he not turning up. But that's not happening. He is a pay-per-view champion, and he only turns up whenever he wants to, not on the WWE's terms. So for me, it's a win-win situation for Brock Lesnar, not the company. So for me, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, or even the chairman of the board, Vince McMahon, should step in and say, look, Brock, you're our champion. You're the main guy of our company. You're the face of our company. You should be at least 1 or 2 Raws a month. Defend your title at every single pay-per-view, because you are the champion of this company. And if you don't do it, I'm sorry, we will have to strip you off the title. What is the difference between Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan? Just because Daniel Bryan, as Triple H likes to say, and I quote, isn't a plus player, and Brock Lesnar, as we all know, has a history of, as he likes to say, conquering people. As we know, he's conquered the Streak, he's conquered John Cena, he has broke John Cena's arm, the Authority of Triple H's arm, Shawn Michaels' arm, but coming back now, he's not being on Raw as much as he should be, as a champion should. But I can't say no more, as the situation has to be resolved. If he doesn't show up at Survivor Series, for me, that's the end of the line. He should be just stripped of the title, and it should be taken to someone who's a worthy champion and no other than Brock Lesnar.
Just one final question for you about the Brock Lesnar situation. Do you think he deserved the title in the first place?
No, I don't. I think what the 40 were thinking, they're listening to the WWE Universe and the crowds and saying they don't want John Cena to represent their company anymore. So they thought, okay, Brock Lesnar, he went out, conquered the Octagon in UFC, came back, he's Triple H, he conquered Triple H, he came back, he's conquered the Undertaker's on the defeated streak. So what else? Make him the main guy, because he's the beast incarnate. So they thought that was the easiest way to get rid of John Cena off the scene.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, we could talk about this all day, but we obviously have to move on. We'll go on to the matches at tonight's pay-per-view. What we've got here, we've got Sheamus versus The Miz, The Usos versus Gold and Stardust, Cesaro versus Ziggler, Big Show versus Rusev, AJ Lee versus Paige, Nikki Bella versus Brie Bella, and then in the co-main event we have John Cena versus Randy Orton, and in the other co-main event we have Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. Now, going back, we'll start with the Sheamus versus The Miz match, which is the United States Championship match. Now, these two have had a feud for what, a good 2 months, roughly, maybe month. Have you got a thought on this match? Who do you think might win?
Yes. To me, I think Sheamus will win because their thoughts of the WWE, they want to give Sheamus a title run. And I think it'll be a disqualification victory. I think Damien Mizdow, should I say, will interfere. And he will try and do the switch, even though they are not identical. And then the referee will spot this, turn around, and I think The Miz will hit Sheamus with the title. Sheamus will kick out, then Mizdow will intervene, and Sheamus will walk out the United States champion.
That's good wee prediction there. I was going to say the exact same thing. I think Damien Mizdow will have a say, obviously, in this match, be it disqualification. But for me, on this match, I personally think that The Miz might just take it. I think what you said, where the switch might happen, I don't think there will be a switch. I think it'll be more Mizdow will come in, do something, and then The Miz will get the count. Maybe you will see a repeat where he pulled Dolph Ziggler's trunks and might do the same to Sheamus just to get that title back. Now, we'll go on here to the tag team match, which is the Usos versus Gold and Stardust. And to be honest, who do you think is going to win that?
That's a tough match, as the Usos are very athletic, they're charismatic, they're worthy champions. I like the Usos. I like Gold and Stardust also, but for me, I would have to give the victory to the Usos and once again become the tag team champions, as I think Gold and Stardust have been their time has come.
Do you think it's time for them to give up?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
I don't think they should be the champions any longer, as they've held the titles as Gold, Dust, and Cody Rhodes as the Brotherhood at the start of the year. That went a good long run, but this one, I think the time of Gold and Stardust should come to an end.
Yeah, just is going off a wee bit, but the Gold and Stardust thing, what do you think of that there? Do you think the things worked out?
Yeah, personally, I do. You've got to see a different side of Cody Rhodes as Stardust. I wasn't expecting that whatsoever. It was strange, as I thought that was the end of Cody Rhodes and his brother Goldust. I thought Cody Rhodes was going to go to do singles competition again, and Goldust would form a unlikely partnership with another WWE superstar. But Cody Rhodes surprised me by coming out as the Bizarre One's brother, Stardust, and I wasn't seeing that coming, personally.
Yeah, for me, like I don't. I think Cody Rhodes should go back down the route where he was fighting for the United States Intercontinental, whatever it be. I don't see him as a tag team person, so I don't. I see him more as a single competitor.
I could agree with you in some aspects, but what would you do with Goldust if Cody Rhodes became Cody Rhodes again and went to singles competitions? What would Goldust?
Personally, for me, like Goldust, I think his time's up. It's over for me.
You could say his time could be up, but for me as well, I've actually seen more athleticism and more high risk, more entertainment Goldust than I did previous in the old, as I like to say, Attitude Era and the old company of WWF. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't Wouldn't fault that. He has improved from when he was back in the day. Uh, we could go on for this all day, but we'll obviously have to move on. We've got the Cesaro versus Ziggler match. Well, Dolph Ziggler being my favorite wrestler, as you know. Who do you think will win that one?
Yeah, it's going to be yet again. It's going to be another close encounter between the two, as we've seen over a number of weeks. The rivalries hotting up. We've got Ziggler winning. We've got Cesaro winning. So for me, it's going to be an interesting one, as it's a 2 out of 3 falls match. But I think I'm going to agree with you. I think Dolph Ziggler will retain his title by a 2-1 score. I think Cesaro will win the first fall, and then Ziggler will win the back-to-back falls. But it'll be an interesting encounter, to say the least.
Yeah, I think this match here for me personally, I think it's a make or break for Cesaro. I can see him in being a future champion, hopefully.
Yeah. He got a good run, as we know, and as a world heavyweight champion after WrestleMania a couple of years ago, and I thought, wow, this is it. This is the guy's opportunity. And then all of a sudden, he got an injury, and then just backed off for a while, came back, and has proved to be another upcoming champion, as he's done so in the past. And I think for me, and as you said yourself, he will be a future WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and who knows, maybe one day we'll see that.
Hopefully, and I hope I've got all aspects or thoughts, I should say, that he will go on to be hopefully a main event player in the future. He does bring a lot to the WWE, but again, gonna have to move on. Next up, we've got Big Show versus Rusev, which for me personally is a big match in the main event, where Rusev is unbeaten and the Big Show is obviously trying to stop that streak, as you wish to call it. Your thought on that match?
Again, another eagerly anticipated fight between Rusev and Big Show. Rusev is obviously undefeated. He has defeated Mark Henry. He has defeated Big Show. He's defeated Jack Swagger. And Big Show is trying to stop the Bulgarian Brute, as he likes to be known, and fight for America. But for me, it's going to be a Rusev victory, as I can see Rusev going undefeated till Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. Who knows? But the question is who will be the one to break the streak? I personally would like to see the Olympic champion Kurt Angle return, as we all know that his contract with TNA has come to an end, and there was discussions of him coming back to the WWE, but Vincent Kennedy McMahon only wants him to be a full-time wrestler, and Kurt Angle himself doesn't believe his body can take that anymore, and he only wants to be part-time. So who knows what the future can hold? Maybe he may come back for one fight in the WWE before retiring, maybe, and hopefully he ends the streak of Rusev and gives the pride back into America. But that's going to be a Rusev victory. Big Show will not submit. He won't tap out. He will just faint at the hands of the Accolade submission. But hopefully he proved me wrong and knocks the Big Russian out.
Yeah, I agree fully. 100%. Got nothing else to say. You've covered everything on that, definitely. I hope Big Show wins, but because the storyline behind this is becoming a little corny, bit repetitive, very boring. Yeah, I can see Rusev winning and going on to WrestleMania. But again, moving on, we're going to the AJ Lee versus Paige match, which is one of the two Divas matches. Just before we go on, there was speak of AJ Lee and Paige going for the Hell in a Cell match, where they would fight in the Hell in a Cell, but both Divas are actually angry about that because they both thought that they deserved the opportunity to fight in the Hell in a Cell, which for me personally would have been a very interesting match to see two Divas in the Hell in a Cell, and especially the AJ Lee in a cage and her attitude and her demeanor. It would be brilliant to see something like that with AJ Lee in there, but WWE obviously being feminist. Go ahead. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that would have been a very interesting match and title defense for me. Yeah, the first ever Diva Hell in a Cell match between the psychotic AJ Lee and Paige,
The
who
weird and wonderful.
who's shown her signs of being psychotic as well over the past couple of months since her title loss to Lee. But it would have been interesting to see for me as a CM Punk fan. Maybe they're going to use AJ Lee's marriage to CM Punk to stop all these type of matches for her because of her relationship with Punk. But yeah, that would have been a fantastic fight if it had been inside the cell, as it would have been a history making fight. It would have been an entertaining fight to see what both competitors would have done to each other inside the hell in the cell, with Paige being shown herself, shall I say, of being ruthless. AJ Lee, as we know, is ruthless, should I say. But why has WWE stopped that? Who knows? Maybe they don't think they're ready to bring in a Divas Hell in a Cell match, but maybe that's one to look for in the future.
Yeah, and who do you think is going to win that match?
AJ Lee. I think AJ Lee will retain her title, and maybe, for me personally, I think AJ Lee will break her own record of being the longest serving Divas Championship again.
Yeah. Now we did write on the Twitter page that we thought. Well, one of our predictions were that if AJ Lee was to leave, that we think that would have been the end for AJ Lee in the company. And do you think that? Do you think that could be a possibility?
Yes, I do. I was the one who actually thought that might happen if Paige does retain. No, sorry, should I say win the Divas Championship? That Miss AJ Lee will walk out of the company, as we all know she is not very happy with the crowd's reaction every time she steps in foot into the square circle of her husband's name being chanted instead of her name. And we have also heard of rumours about AJ Lee not coming into Total Divas as her marriage with CM Punk. But recently I've discovered that is not the case. AJ Lee herself has decided not to go into the business as she doesn't believe in a diva being a reality TV show, as it's not a good image for herself, as she is a wrestler, an entertainer, a sport athlete, and not a reality TV show, and has quoted to saying, if the Divas want to be a reality TV show, they should join Jersey Shore or another reality TV show and stop being entertainers.
Yeah. We'll have to agree. Definitely, I think the excuse me, the Total Divas, it was good. I would have to admit the first season was good, but now I think it's just all staged. Well, to be honest, I think it's all staged. Going on now, we'll go to the Nikki Bella and the Brie Bella match, which for me, interesting. The stipulations for this match is obviously the loser becomes the slave of the other twin for 30 days. And we've got our own views on that. It's mixed between me and myself. Me and David, I should say. Me and myself, what am I talking about? David, what's your thoughts on the twin match?
For me, this one is strange because back whenever the Bella's storyline and feud started, I wasn't expecting it myself. I really was shocked by this. I think it's went on far too long, and this should be the conclusive match. Whoever wins, that's good. That's the winner. That's the best twin. Whoever loses, if they do not be the slave for 30 days, if they disagree with anything the other twin says, they have to quit the WWE. But I also read up myself the other day that at Survivor Series, we're going to see a Team Nikki versus a Team Brie 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series tag team match. But what I didn't understand is if they've already made this match a Survivor Series between the twins, Team Twins, how is that going to work if one of the twins, who maybe loses, and they disagree of doing one of the chores as the other twin gives them, and they have to leave the WWE? How is this 5-on-5 tag team match at Survivor Series going to work? Because for me, that's a very confusing bit of business done by the WWE. If you call it business, it's for me it's weird.
Yeah, definitely it is a wee bit weird. It must mean that one of the twins are going to do something probably near the end of the slavery, shall we call it? We'll call it that. But yeah, it's a weird one. It is. It's another one that's very repetitive. I thought, I don't know what they're trying to do there. They're trying to make two competitors go single, but you can't really do that because they're twins, and I see them better together than not being together. If you know what I mean. But yeah, we'll move on here to the co-main event, which is John Cena versus Randy Orton, which is another highly anticipated match in the pay-per-view. Now, for me, I am a big Randy Orton fan. I hope personally that he wins, because as we all know, the Attitude Era fans do not like John Cena. But yeah, enough ranting from me. David, how do you see this match panning out?
Again, for me, this is another storyline was dragged on and on and on for the past number of years. I hope we finally see the end of a Randy Orton John Cena match, because we both know that John Cena always wins the big matches,
Yeah.
no matter who it's against, whether it's Randy Orton, whether it's against Daniel Bryan, whether it's against Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins. He always seems to win. But I was shocked to see Dean Ambrose win last Monday. I repeat myself. Two weeks ago on Monday Night Raw at the contract match for the Hell in a Cell, I thought John Cena was going to win that and go on to face Seth Rollins, but thankfully he didn't. Dean Ambrose finally got his opportunity to Seth Rollins, but we'll move on to that in a minute. But hopefully for me, Randy Orton wins the match with a RKO out of nowhere. I'm starting to love these videos, I'm sorry, I have to say. And as Chris pointed out, all Attitude Era fans have been fed up with John Cena. And I myself have fell off the Cena bandwagon, as he's now no longer a wrestler, he's more of an entertainer, where whenever he first started off, he came in, showed that he was a wrestler, he was aggressive, he was ruthless, he cheated, he win matches, he was just a hustler. And now his name is Mr. Hustle, Loyalty and Respect. Where does that come from? I don't know, but hopefully for me, Randy Orton picks up the victory.
Yep, definitely. Another one, as you said, Randy Orton. Hopefully we'll win. But yeah, we'll go on to the other co-main event, which is Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. Now, for me, this is brilliant match. Love this. This is, for me, the career-defining match for these two superstars. Dean Ambrose, we quoted on Twitter, which some of you actually thought we made up, but it was another news outlet, said that Dean Ambrose is the Stone Cold of the PG era, which for me, I can agree. Yeah, he is PG Stone Cold in my eyes. Yeah, but yeah, as I was saying, the two are it's a career-defining match for these two superstars. Whoever wins, I think this will send them to a new place, new journey, whatever you want to call it. But David, enough of me. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally agree 110% with you, what you're saying, Chris. I myself do think Dean Ambrose is the modern day Stone Cold Steve Austin, repelling against the authority. Fair enough. he hasn't got the Stone Cold ability. He's more like like myself and everyone else in the WWE world like to call him. He's psychotic. He's unstable. He's in fringe. You don't know what he's going to do next. I don't even think he knows what he's going to do next, to be honest with you, because he just doesn't think. And for me, to come back about 2 months after getting your head curb stomped through cinder blocks and showing no remorse against it and laughing about it and thinking it was pretty cool, that's pretty badass for me, and I think it's pretty attitude era like as well. And this will be the match, the biggest match of both superstars' careers so far. They've been in TLC matches, they've been in 3-on-3 elimination matches with the best in the business, as we know was the Authority of Triple H, Randy Orton, and the former member of WWE, Batista, as we like to call him, Evolution, and they beat them together as a Shield. But now they've gone solo, and I wasn't seeing it coming. No, definitely wasn't seeing it coming. But I've seen a lot of WWE fans saying Dean Ambrose is a sellout. How can that be possible if Dean Ambrose is fighting against the Authority? Same with Roman Reigns are saying he's a sellout. How can them two possibly be the sellout if Seth Rollins is the one sucking up to the big boys to try and work his way to the top through the Authority, as Randy Orton has done over the past number of years, sucking up the Triple H and getting his way through Triple H. And for me, Dean Ambrose will come out victorious tonight and hopefully put an end to the story and move on. But I think there's going to be a twist in this match. I think maybe Randy Orton will come out and RKO Seth Rollins, as we all seen the curb stomp this past Monday Night in Raw, and that could be the defining moment of the match.
Yeah, very good points there, definitely. Yeah, I would agree. I can see Dean Ambrose coming out, but these two will bring something to this. This is, as we say, their career-defining match. This will change these two. This will send them somewhere, and to be honest, I could speak about these two all day. Unreal.
Kind of stop you there, and one more point. And hopefully they don't stay in the ring. Hopefully they take it high risk and go on top of the cage and do, as I like to call it, death-defying moments, as we have seen in previous Hell in a Cell matches. As we've seen the Undertaker from Mick Foley off the top of the cell. We've seen him chokeslam him through in the cell, which was not meant to be happening, by the way. We've seen Triple H throw Mick Foley as Cactus Jack over his head through the cell and through the ring. We've seen The Undertaker chokeslam Rikishi off top of the cage in the one and only 6-man Hell in a Cell match back in 2000. Hopefully we see these two individuals putting their bodies on the line, as they both like to do, and maybe we'll see Seth Rollins doing a high risk jump off top of the cage on top of Dean Ambrose, and the crowd saying this is awesome, because for me this is going to be the best match, pardon me, of the year so far.
Yeah, and 100%. As I said earlier, we could go on about this all day, but we're not going to bore you too much. We'll move on here to our final piece, which is the possible turn of Randy Orton, which we could see him turning face. David, I'll let you take this away because you know more about this than I do, so go ahead.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I've read number of reports and rumours that Randy Orton could possibly turn face if he wins tonight and gets his title match with Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series. And I quote, if we do see that match happening, if Brock Lesnar bothers to show up, just because the WWE want to give Randy Orton, should I say, a run as a face one more time, because they don't believe in heel versus heel matches, because the fans don't know who to cheer for, so they think Randy Orton will get the crowd behind him, as they are loving these RKO out of nowhere finds, as we're all seeing hitting the internet, should I say, by storm. And for me, It would be an interesting one. I would like to see Randy Orton break away from the Shield. No, sorry, my mistake. The Authority, and turn his back on Triple H, Kane, and Seth Rollins, and goes alone and does everything his way. And maybe we see an epic encounter between Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But for me, I think it will be a fantastic turn for Randy Orton if he gets away from the Authority.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see what the WWE will do with Randy Orton to turn face. I see him more as a heel, just his demeanor of being Randy Orton, the legend killer, whatever you wish to call him. There's loads of nicknames out there for him. But yeah, he it'll be interesting to see him turn face. It will, so it will. But yeah, that's everything from us. For this is our first podcast, guys, and we just hope you enjoy it. We'll be bringing out more. We'll be doing a post show of the Hell in a Cell, which will be obviously straight after the pay per view tonight. But I hope you enjoyed that. Any pointers, anything you wish to point out? We were both a bit nervous doing this. This is David's first time ever trying something like this, so yeah, we personally hope you enjoy it. And if you do have any criticism for us, please do bring it to us. But we want to improve this as much as possible and keep doing this week in, week out. Hopefully our next one will be Raw, where we will do a pre-show and a post-show on Raw. And then after that, we'll more than likely do a Survivor Series one. But yep, thank you. This is Chris Wilson, and on behalf of David McCann, goodbye.